Hi, welcome to Cooking Fast and Eating Light. I am Judy Matusky and I'm a registered dietitian and I'm also a culinary nutritionist. And we are here cooking with 5 ingredients or less because it really is my mission to try to make healthy eating faster and easier and just not have to take a lot of time. So good food should taste good and good food should be easy to make. All right, so let's get cooking. Today it is all about the sandwich. So it's interesting because when I work with a lot of my clients and I suggest to them that they might be able to have a sandwich with lunch, particularly if they're trying to lose a little bit of weight, they are usually very surprised that I would suggest that. And I want to bring back the sandwich. I really think that it is just the perfect vehicle for a very easy, very healthy, quick meal. So let's talk a little bit about that. And today we're going to move a little bit away though. We're moving away from deli meat types of sandwiches because I feel like sometimes we can get into a little bit of a rut and we aren't really thinking outside of sort of that lunchbox sandwich and always trying to come up with something that's a little bit different. So that's what I'm here to do today. So we're going to be talking about a summer sandwich because we're using zucchini today, which is plentiful right now. I mean, it's in everybody's garden if you have a garden, most likely. You can certainly get it in any farmer's market and in the supermarket. It's just out there and it is abundant. So we're going to be using that inside the sandwich today. And we're also going to be using a very interesting ingredient that I just recently, sort of fell in love with. It's called halloumi. And halloumi is, and I apologize, I feel like my lighting's a little off today, but halloumi is it's sort of a Cypriot cheese. It's used in the Eastern Mediterranean quite a bit. It can be a little bit on the salty side, and we'll talk a little bit about how to sort of modify that if you're trying to keep your sodium intake a little bit on the low side. But it can certainly work in a sandwich, no problem. And it just really depends on what kind of ingredients you're pairing it with. So we're going to assemble this really great sandwich today, and I really want to get you maybe thinking about adding sandwiches back into your diet. One way to do that, though, is that we really want to build out this sandwich so that we have a really great macronutrient balance, so that we've got protein and healthy lean fats and high fiber carbohydrates. And that's what's important when you're really trying to put a sandwich together, because we want it to be as well balanced as nutritious as possible. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the bread. I am going to be using today, I'm going to be using an Ezekiel English muffin to make this sandwich with. Ezekiel bread is bread that you can find in almost any supermarket. It's usually in the frozen section of the supermarket. It is whole grain. It's a sprouted grain. So that's is what makes it a little bit unique, is that the grain is sprouted and there are no preservatives added. So that's why it's in the frozen section. And when you buy it, you're going to want to keep it in your freezer because it will go bad pretty quickly. So it's digested well. It is not gluten-free, but it is a really great grain for anybody that might be gluten sensitive. Not celiac, but gluten sensitive because it can be digested a little bit better. And it also seems to have a better blood sugar response. So I like to use this with my clients who are trying to manage their blood sugar, and this can help because it doesn't seem to have quite the rise of blood sugar after they eat it. So we're going to use this as our base, but you can certainly use a lot of other things. So we've got whole wheat pita breads would work with this type of a sandwich. I have 2 different pitas. This one I just picked up at a market I love because it's really just basically whole wheat flour, salt, yeast, and water. There's no other ingredients. Some of the ones that you're buying in the supermarket are going to have a few extra ingredients in them. Or you could, as it's being posted, I have it with a sourdough bread. So I'm just using a multi-grain sourdough bread in the picture of the recipe when it goes live. All right. So let's just talk about how we're going to assemble this. First, one thing that we do have to do, and I want to show you how to do this, is that we're going to, you really do need to do one step ahead for this recipe. So you need to slice the zucchini and you do need to salt it. Now, this isn't really adding a lot of extra salt to this dish, but it does help to draw the water out of the zucchini, and we want the zucchini to be firm because we want to have it so that it sears up really well and it maintains like a firm texture in this sandwich. So to do that, you're just going to take your zucchini and we're going to slice it down. and just take the ends off. And then it's nice to use these smaller zucchinis. It's much better than a large zucchini, because the larger the squash gets, the watery it gets, the seeds get really big, and it's fine to cook with in other ways, but for this type of a thing, when we want a firmer texture, I'd go with a smaller zucchini. And then you're just gonna take the zucchini and we're gonna just cut the zucchini in half. And then we really are just trying to get rectangular shapes out of this. And I have some on the grill already because I wanted to get those grilled up ahead of time. So I'm just gonna take a tiny little slice out of the bottom, the one side of the zucchini, so I can turn it over onto a flat surface. Same thing, I'm gonna just take that little outer skin right off. And then we're just gonna slice this into 1/4 inch rectangles. All right, so you're just slicing it right down and through the zucchini. And then, the end piece that has a lot of the skin, you can just save that for something else. So then you're left with just these little, rectangular shapes. They're about 1/4 inch thick. And then what you're gonna wanna do is we're gonna take a paper towel and you're gonna just lay the paper towel down onto like your cutting board or a surface. And then you're gonna line up your zucchini slices, and you can do as many zucchini slices as you want. I think the recipe says 2 or 3 zucchinis, because you might as well just do up extra and use them for the sandwich, but then you can use them for other things throughout the week. And we're just gonna take a little bit of salt, not much, so it's just a little sprinkle of salt that you're gonna sprinkle just on top of the zucchini. And what this does is the salt doesn't go into the zucchini. What the salt does is it pulls the water out of the zucchini. So that's what we really want to have happen. We want the water to come out. We want the texture of the zucchini to get firmer. And then once you let this sit for maybe 10 minutes or so you can kind of get this ready ahead of time, then we move on to the other steps. And then all you're going to do is just take a paper towel and just kind of dry it off and wipe it off. And then it's good to go. So I already did that. So I already did that earlier because I wanted to get my zucchini grilled off because I wasn't sure how well this grill pan was going to work on this burner surface. So I wanted to get those done ahead of time. So my zucchini's done. Now the next thing that we're going to do is just you're going to want to toast your bread. So I'm going to go ahead and take this English muffin, this Ezekiel English muffin. I'm going to pop it in the toaster so we can get that going. Now let's talk a little bit about the halloumi. So halloumi is very firm, and it's not a type of cheese that you would buy and eat as is. It really is a grilling cheese, and that's where the magic happens. So it goes from something that's kind of like to really amazing when you put it on a grill surface. And you don't need to oil the grill, you don't have to put anything down, and you don't have to do anything to the cheese. You don't have to spread it or anything. You can, but you don't have to. All right, so we're gonna take this cheese and we're gonna cut it in half because we really wanna get about 8 slices out of this. And then I'm gonna cut the half in quarters. All right, we're gonna just bring it down just so that we can get pretty even slices. And because it is relatively salty, we don't really need really big slices of this in the sandwich. We really just only want one slice per sandwich. So this is gonna slice that little fairly small brick of halloumi is going to make about 8 slices, all right? So I'm gonna slice that down and I'm gonna get my grill pan up pretty high. And then all you're gonna do is just lay your halloumi right onto your grill surface. So it could be in a skillet. If you have a grill pan, that's great. So I'll just put a couple of slices on here. I'm gonna get the heat up, so I'll let that start sizzling. And it's gonna take a minute here for this to get, to come up, for the heat to come up, but if you have your surface pretty hot, once you lay the halloumi down, it's gonna sear up pretty quickly. It's not going to take very long, like a couple of minutes on each side. All right, so while that though is grilling, let's make the little bit of the sauce that's gonna go onto the zucchini. So once you salt your zucchini, just takes like 10 minutes, just let it go. It's gonna start to really pull up the water, dry it off. Then I just brushed this grill surface with a little bit of olive oil, and I laid the zucchini down and grilled it off, maybe 5 minutes on either side. You really kind of want to crank up the heat so you can really get the grill marks on the zucchini. Now I'm gonna take the zucchini, I'm just gonna put it in a little dish, because what we're going to do with the zucchini is we're going to add this little, very easy little sauce to the top of it, and I'll tell you what that is in just a minute. So we're gonna put these in because we just want them to marinate a little bit while we're grilling off our cheese. So let's take a small bowl, and we are going to use a garlic clove in this sauce. And for this, I would rather if you have a garlic press, that would be great. If you can mince it on a microplane, that's better. You really want this to be really finely minced, okay? Because you don't really want to bite into big chunks of garlic. So I'm going to just microplane this garlic clove. This is a pretty big garlic clove, so again, it's up to you. You know, again, in our family, we kind of go a little lighter on the garlic. I love it, but doesn't always love me, so I don't always use as much as called for. But if you love garlic, you know, by all means, use the full clove. I think I'm going to use about half of this because it was a pretty big one. All right, and then so you really want that garlic really minced because you really want it to just blend right into this. And then all it is the garlic and a little drizzle of honey. So it's about a teaspoon of honey that we're going to add. And then I have I had pickled up some jalapeno peppers as well as some red onion. So I'm going to use the pickling juice, about a tablespoon of this, to make this little sauce for the zucchini. So it's just about a tablespoon of the pickle juice that comes out of the pickled jalapeno peppers and onion. You can certainly buy pickled jalapenos. That's great, and then just use the pickling juice. If you don't want to do the pickled jalapenos, you really could, I guess, leave them out, but then you'd have to, you know, figure out what you're going to add for the juice to make the sauce. But the jalapenos do really add a nice, they do really add like a nice little heat to this dish. All right, so I'm grilling off this. Now this, I probably should have had, oh, darn it. You know what, I should have had I'm going to move these off to the side. Because look what happened. Okay, so here's where, you know, mistakes happen to all of us. So this cheese, I put on the grill surface a little bit too soon. And what happened is it's beginning to melt before it's going to sear. So I'm going to move that off to the side. And then I'm going to let this pan keep getting a little bit hotter. Let me just dry it off a little bit because I want this to get really hot. It wasn't hot enough when I put the halloumi on there. So I'm just sort of rushing this, but you want your skillet to be really hot so that when the halloumi goes right onto the surface, it's gonna like sear up pretty quickly. So I'm gonna see if I can get this a little bit. We'll try it with a few other slices. Okay, so we have the pickle juice and a little bit of honey and the garlic. That's it. That's all that's in here. And we're just gonna stir that around. And then this is just gonna we're just gonna pour this right on top of the zucchini. All right, so that's just gonna be a little sauce that's gonna go on there. All right. Now, so just kind of stir that around, and that's going to marinate. So I'll set this aside just for a few minutes. I mean, it doesn't have to marinate very long. It's just going to sit for a few minutes. Now, we have our toasted Ezekiel muffins, and let's go ahead and put them on a plate. Let me just wipe this off real quick. All right. So we have the Ezekiel muffin, and now here's where it's kind of fun. So again, it's sort of thinking outside of the box. Let me just grab some basil out of the refrigerator. Instead of lettuce, and again, you know about my basil, but you could use any green really, but I want you to think when you're making your sandwiches, to sort of think outside the box. It doesn't always necessarily have to be lettuce that you're putting inside your sandwich. I'm going to take some big basil leaves, and that's what's going to be our green, and it's going to add great flavor to the sandwich, but it doesn't have to be lettuce, right? All right, so it's something a little bit different. All right, so let's see if let's go back to the halloumi. Let's see if this is hot enough. I'm hearing a little sizzle, so maybe we'll get it to work here. I've made this sandwich several times, so it really does work, believe me. You just have to have a really hot pan to get that real good sizzle. And then it only takes just a few minutes. We've got some smoke coming off of here. And once that gets going, so what we'll do is we're going to we'll start building this while this is searing. So we're just going to put a basil leaf, maybe 2, down on the bottom of our English muffin. And then let's just take, because I'm going to use 2 zucchini slices to the 1 slice of halloumi. So I'm going to put, I'm going to even use 3, all right, because the more the better. All right, so 2 zucchini slices down. And then as this cheese, let's see if we can get this seared up. And when you're building a sandwich, just a couple things to keep in mind. So the idea is that you want that bread to be whole grain. So we want as much fiber here in this sandwich as possible. So let's go as whole grain as we can. So 100% whole wheat, 100% whole grain would be great. So this Ezekiel muffin serves that role. So we've got our high fiber grain, and then you're going to want some sort of a lean protein. So we're going to be using some halloumi cheese to put in here as the protein source. Let me see if I can flip this over. This just doesn't want to sear up. I think it might be, I'm going to give excuses for this. It might just be that this grill pan isn't getting hot enough because I did it on my regular stove before. All right, well anyway, let's just pretend. So normally this is going to sear up, and it will. It'll get brown on either side. And then we're going to use this to just layer right onto the, we're going to layer this right onto the, if this was seared, we put a slice of that on there. All right, and then I'm going to move this off to the back. All right, so the halloumi cheese really does stay firm. So if it's a hot surface and you hit the grill with it, it'll sear, and it does stay firm. So it's only like a minute or 2 on either side, and then you get the grill marks, and then it stays nice and firm. And that's what's really nice about halloumi. It really is a great cheese to use for something like this. So we're going to do the halloumi cheese. I'm going to do another. No, you know what we'll do? Let's do some jalapeno peppers. So I'm going to put a couple of jalapenos layered here, and because I happen to throw in some red onions when I was pickling the jalapenos, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and throw a few of those on as well because I think that would be really great. All right, and then one more basil leaf. And then I think just because we have quite a bit of zucchini, I'm actually going to layer it up with another layer of zucchini. All right, and then it's just the top of the rest of the, actually it was the bottom, the top of the English muffin. So there is this summer fresh sandwich. So it is a layer of the grilled zucchini. We've got our semi-seared halloumi, which will sear for you, I'm sure. And then we're going to layer that with basil rather than lettuce. And then just a little bit of jalapeno peppers to give it a little bit of heat and a little bit of a bite. And here's the sandwich. And I'll cut it in half so you can kind of see. When you're putting together that sandwich, let's just go over that real quick again. All right, so we want the whole grain bread. We want the whole grain bread as your outer container almost. All right, so here we go. Let me just show this to you because it's so pretty. All right, so we have 2 slices, if you can see them, of this grilled zucchini halloumi sandwich. So you want the bread, then you want some sort of protein. It doesn't have to be deli meat, right? So we can, obviously there's a lot of other options than that. Here's one. And then thinking about all kinds of vegetables. So you can build your sandwich out so it gets to be a nice big sandwich, and lots of grated carrots or herbs, lettuce, sliced peppers, whatever, so that you have a lot of crunch inside that sandwich. And then you're kind of getting some veggies in there as well. And then whatever little sauce you might want to use, and there's nothing wrong with a little bit of mayonnaise, mustard works. But this is kind of neat because we're using this sort of marinated zucchini for the flavor in this sandwich. You don't really need any other spread on the bread. So when I would serve this, just to get the extra vegetables, because why not, I would just serve this with some of this grilled zucchini right on the side because we have it. So let's go ahead and serve a few extra slices of that on the plate with the sandwich. And then, you've got this really nice dish. All right, so the main point here is to not be afraid of sandwiches. There is nothing wrong with having them for lunch, even for a quick dinner, even for breakfast for that matter. It's just a really easy way to pull a meal together, and it has all the macronutrient balance that you want. It's just thinking about what combinations you're going to want to make if you're trying to lean towards a little bit of a healthier sandwich. All right, so thanks for joining. I think that's it. go home or you're at home now, make a sandwich over the weekend and enjoy it. If you want more recipes, always check out athensnutrition.com. We've got lots of great stuff over there. And if you like these videos, please share them. If you have friends or family that you think would benefit from some of the nutrition tips or some of the cooking tips, we would love it. We'd love more of you to join our Athens community. That would make me really happy. All right, so you enjoy the day and stay healthy. All right, bye-bye.